Hello everyone, my name is Alex. In previous parts we were modeling spaceship and runway scene for an animation like this. In this final part we will animate everything. Okay, let's go. First let's animate flight of a spaceship through the runway. It might be a hard thing to do if you go straight forward by animating complex movement of the spaceship, but there's a trick how we can greatly simplify this job. We just animate runway instead to create an illusion of spaceship moving forward. Now snap 3D cursor to the runway, and add an empty object we'll use as a parent for runway parts. It can be of any shape, but I prefer cubes. Let's also increase its size so it's more visible, and snap it to grid. Rename it to pivot track. Select all runway objects and parent all of them to the empty we've just created. Now if we move just this empty, all runway parts should follow along. Let's change length of animation. Go to Output Properties panel and change end frame to be 200. Now switch to a graph editor and let's animate. Try to memorize two very useful shortcuts, Shift and right arrow to go to the end frame. And now press Shift and left arrow to go to the first. You're going to use them a lot. Open Object Properties and press I key while hovering mouse over location fields. See that yellow color? It means we've just created our first keyframe. Now press Shift and right arrow to go to the last frame. Activate Grab tool and move empty object 640 units down by Y-axis. Then hover mouse over location Y field and press I key one more time. We've just created our second keyframe. Let's check our animation curve in the graph editor. See that? This curve shows how Y location of the empty object changes from 0 to -640 between first and last frame of our animation. But this curve is smooth, it means location change is not constant but speed ups and slows down near keyframes. Let's select both curve keyframes, go to Key, Interpolation Mode, Linear. See how this curve turned straight? Now location will change at constant speed. Press Shift and left arrow to go to the first frame, and press space to play animation. Let's do that again, but from camera view. Press 0 on numpad to switch to camera. Something's wrong, we forgot to parent obstacles to the empty object. We can fix that by selecting both obstacles and parenting them to empty. Let's play that again. Looks much better now. But look, spaceship flies through obstacles. We need to make it evade them. Let's go back to the spaceship and select it. Snap 3D cursor to it. And let's add another empty object. I'll call it Pivot Fighter. Now select our spaceship and parent it to the empty. We don't need to parent exhaust effects because they are already parented to the spaceship. Look, when I move empty, both spaceship and exhausts follow the movement. Check if we're at the first frame, and let's insert keyframes for location and rotation of the empty object. Now press right arrow to skip frames until we get to the frame 40. Let's add another keyframe here. That's where spaceship will start evasion maneuver. Keep pressing right arrow until we fly close to the obstacle. Okay, here we need to move spaceship left to hit the gap in between obstacles. Let's add one more keyframe. Continue skipping frames until we get to a frame 100. Here we return to an initial position. Type in 0 in location X field, and insert one more keyframe. Continue going forward till frame 140. One more evasion maneuver will start here, so insert a location key. Remember, how second obstacle had a gap a bit to the right. Keep scrolling until we get to the next obstacle. Now here set location X to 5, and insert key. Let's go forward until the very end of the animation. We need to return spaceship to the initial position one more time. Reset location X to be 0, and insert last keyframe. Let's test our animation. Looks even better. But how we can improve it? Let's roll spaceship slightly when it's evading obstacles. Remember we inserted rotation keyframe before? Now fast forward to the point where spaceship starts evading. See how location field has turned yellow, but rotation field stay green? That's because we don't have a keyframe here yet. Let's insert a rotation keyframe. Now move to a frame 50. Roll spaceship left by about 20 degrees. Insert keyframe. Move forward to a frame 70 where we're passing the obstacle. Here let's roll it right 80 degrees. Insert keyframe. Now let's move to a frame where we return spaceship back to normal position. Set rotation to 0, keyframe it. Go to a frame 140, insert rotation key. Fast forward to a frame 150. Rotate spaceship right 20 degrees, insert keyframe. Now to the obstacle gap. Roll left 80 degrees, keyframe. And now skip to the last frame, and reset spaceship rotation back to 0. Let's play our animation one more time. Okay, looks perfect now. We can make animation more realistic if we add some random variation to a movement of the spaceship. Go to the graph editor, and hide all channels except for X location. Now select that channel, and let's zoom in view to see even smallest changes we're gonna make to its curve. Open modifiers panel and look for a noise function. Change noise scale to 40. Strength to 0.5. And offset to 14.3. Remember, we're making a seamless animation loop. It's hard to make noise seamless, that's why we need to restrict frame range around beginning and end of our animation. Set start frame to 5. End frame to 155. Blend in duration of 30 frames, and blend out to the same value. Now let's play our animation. See how spaceship is slowly floating left and right? This is due to influence of the noise modifier we've just added. Let's do the same for Z location curve, so our spaceship floats up and down as well. Select Z channel, and add noise modifier to it. Set scale to 20 to reduce noise frequency. Strength to 0.5. And restrict frame range the same way we did for the X location modifier. Now let's play our animation and see how spaceship is floating. We can use same modifier to slightly tilt spaceship in direction of movement. When spaceship goes up, we will tilt its nose up. Hide Z location and show X Euler rotation channel. Let's zoom viewport in to see the curve. Now add noise modifier. OK. Enter all the same values we entered for the Z location modifier. Scale to 20. Strength to 0.05 because we don't want to tilt it that much. And now set offset to -2.63 so we tilt spaceship just a moment before it starts floating in some direction. Good. And don't forget to restrict frame range. Let's also randomize rotation by y-axis. I'm doing all these steps manually, but you can use copy and paste buttons at top right corner to conveniently copy same modifier settings across several channels. Let's play and test one more time. Spaceship is drifting real nice now. What else can we animate? Let's create vibration of spaceship exhausts. Select exhaust object, go to the first frame, and insert keyframe on scale. Do the same for the lower exhaust. Let's check if we can scale them without any problems. Oops, see that? When we scale it down, rear faces seem to go through the spaceship mesh. We need to fix that. Let's move it slightly closer to camera. OK, now select top exhaust and let's add built-in function modifier. We want to use sine to generate continuous vibration of the exhaust jet. Reduce amplitude down to 0.1, set phase multiplier to 2, and set value offset to 1. Let's zoom in to check what we've got generated by this function. OK, looks nice. Now we can use that copy modifier button I talked about previously. Click it to copy all the modifiers data. Select second exhaust object. Select E-scale channel. And click paste modifiers. Press space to play animation. See how exhaust jets are vibrating now? Cool. Time to animate some camera properties. Go to the first frame and click on camera viewport border to select it. Now go to a camera properties panel. And let's insert keyframe on a sensor size. Use right arrow to scroll forward to the frame 40. Key sensor size one more time. Now to the very moment when spaceship is passing the gap. Decrease sensor size down to 25 to create a zoom in effect, and insert a keyframe. Go to frame 100, shortly after we have passed the gap. Set sensor size back to 32, and keyframe it. Scroll forward to a frame 140, insert keyframe on sensor size. Now again till the moment when we're about to pass the obstacle. Sensor size down to 25, add keyframe. Forward to a frame 200. Reset sensor size to 32, keyframe. Well done. See, it wasn't that hard. Let's play the animation and admire your success. But hey, can you see our camera going through the obstacles? Let's fix that. Go to Camera Constraints panel, and let's add a copy location constraint. We want a copy location from fighter pivot. And only by x-axis. Let's change influence down to 0.75 so camera follows spaceship but with a slight lag. Very nice. Now camera is avoiding obstacles as well. But we can also animate compositing nodes. Let's add some effects to demonstrate that. Go to the compositor, and check Use Nodes to activate post-processing pipeline. Here we have Render Layers node, and Composite. We need to put some effect nodes in between. Press Shift and A to open Nodes menu. Let's add Filter, Directional Blur. Just drop the node over this line. Increase iterations to 4. In meantime, let's render image to see what we are changing. Increase zoom to 0.03. See the result? Now we want this effect to appear only when we're passing the obstacle. Set zoom back to 0 for now, and insert keyframe. Now let's split the viewport. And open Graph Editor. We need to find that zoom curve here. Hide sensor width channel, we don't need it right now. Okay, now go to the first frame, and let's insert a keyframe here. Just to be sure, let's delete all other keys. I don't remember at what frame did we put it back then. Go to frame 40. Insert keyframe. Frame 70, this is where we're passing the gate. Set zoom to 0.03 and insert one more keyframe. Now to the frame 100. Set blur zoom back to 0, keyframe it. Look, this curve looks very similar to what we've seen before for spaceship location. Let's go forward to frame 140. Keyframe it at 0. Now to frame 170. Set zoom to 0.03 again. Finally go to the last frame, and keyframe zoom at 0. Now I will show you how to manually tweak these curves. We want progression to be sharper, so we can see effect grow slowly and then spike up very fast. You can take this handle and grab it closer to the midline between two keyframes. Do it for the second spike as well. No need to be extremely precise here, difference will be barely visible. Now, tricky thing about compositing nodes is that you can't really play this animation in the viewport. You have to render every frame to see how it looks like. Now zoom in down the runway. See how these buildings look repetitive at longer distance? Let's fix that by blending them with the background. Go to the shader editor and select one of the buildings. We'll create something similar to a fog effect. Add input, camera data node. Then add converter, math. Connect view Z depth with first socket of the math node, and change math operation to multiply. Now add converter, color ramp. Connect value with FAC input. Let's tweak gradient. First we need to reverse it. Put black stop at about 0.98. Set its color to 9B 9B 9B. White stop goes to 0.827. Now add shader, emission. Add shader, mix shader. Connect color ramp value with FAC input of the mix shader. Emission shader with the first socket. And our BSDF with the second. Now we need to connect mixed shader with a surface socket and material output to see the result. Everything looks white. Let's adjust Z depth multiplication factor to move fade border away from the camera. I'll start with a really small value like 0.002, and now we can drag this gradient slider to fine-tune fade out distance. The closer I move it to the dark point, the sharper fade out becomes. Perhaps I should try other multipliers, it seems too close to the camera. 0.004 is too strong. 0.0015 seems too, let's try just 0.001. Okay, now it starts fading out exactly where I want it. Now I move white slider left to make it less sharp. And finally I can change emission color to match atmospheric haze. Just like that. Looks nice. And that's it for this project. I congratulate you with completion of this amazing space journey. I hope you had no trouble following along. So have a nice day, and follow for more interesting tutorials.